Hey, the economy, so funny.
That is golden.
Well, Dennis,
Hello.
happy hour from the same time zone, my man.
Whoa, an unusual
like-
event. Wow,
I know.
You're at the Patria Familia.
Yes, I came to America 2 weeks ago, just over 2 weeks ago, and brought the wife and kids, and
Brought the
we
old
had
ball and chain, eh?
the old ball and chain. But then I flung her back across the ocean last Saturday. So
Because she could only come for a week,
yeah, she came for 2 weeks.
and you're there for 3.
I'm here for a total of 4.
Wow,
So
that's
I'm
a
on
long
week
trip.
3.
That's a long trip on top of another long trip you took. Where the hell were you? You were.
I mean, previously I was in Salt Lake City and Atlanta
That whole. It was
San Francisco.
travel extravaganza.
Yes, travel Tony Danza. Yes, and as a consequence of that, I don't know if I'm going to use it, but I applied to get TSA pre-check the other day.
Yeah.
Which is this stupid ass money grab.
Well, that's it. I thought it was worth it.
Yeah, for sure. If I travel enough alone, for it to be worth it, then that could be interesting.
That's only, what was it? Mine was, if I recall, it was only $75 or $40.
Yeah, it was like $85 or something.
I mean,
but I had to drive an hour to Asheville to be seen.
I did mine at the airport.
Yeah, well. So anyway, so we've been here for
first week with your entire family. You hung around at your beautiful parents.
We did not house. Actually.
You did it. You were up and gone.
Yeah, we had a as my kids like to call it, a vacation within a vacation, where like a couple years when we first started coming here, at some point my wife said, "So, I think the United States is a little bit bigger than the town where your parents live. We should travel more." And ever since then, my father's taken it on himself to plan a little vacation within a vacation. One year we went up to West Virginia. Another one we went up into the mountains of North Carolina. And this year we went to Flat Rock, North Carolina.
Near Hendersonville.
Exactly. And rented a little cabin there.
Oh, that's right.
I knew that. 100-year-old cabin.
No kidding.
It was the whole cabin in sort of camp complex was, it used to be like a boys' camp, probably for not so good boys. And then I guess for World War I, they turned it into like a sort of a boot camp for boys to get them ready to go over and get slaughtered.
Wow.
And so.
How many rooms total?
In the cabin, there were 3 bedrooms, each with its own bathroom. And
Wow. That ain't a cabin. That sounds palatial. So your mom and dad, you and your wife and kids.
Yep.
Wow.
And
how long?
We were there for 3 nights, 4 days.
Oh, wow.
And they had...
That's so gorgeous up there. I used to do the hikes to the waterfalls. There's a little series of, there's a map you can get, of course, but...
And so there was a little lake, and there were tennis courts, and so we played tennis, and we rented canoes and kayaks.
Oh, my word.
And the lake was full of lily pads with these beautiful flowers on them.
Well, I have to say this to you. I have to tell you, how to spend your time.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed about a lot of things about you, but that one I am. That you when you go, and you do it very well. You do it very well.
So I have a little anecdote about the pond. We like I said, there were these lily pads there, which were lovely. Like the first 150 of them were lovely, and then I think it's probably like a scourge of the
they
pond.
slowed you down.
There were quite a bit of them.
Got in the way of the paddle. Yeah.
And so one time I was in the kayak, and my wife and kids were in the canoe, and it took me a little bit longer to get in the kayak, and they'd sort of gone further away, so I was sort of paddling quickly to get there to where they were, and water was splashing up on me as I paddled, and then this little twig came out of the water with my paddle and landed on my leg, and I was like, oh, that's weird, and then I looked as the twig proceeded to slither up my leg outside of my swimming suit. And leapt itself back into the water.
What was it?
It was just a little water snake, I think. But
and it jumped off you to get to the water.
I mean, in a kayak, you're sort of never far away from the hole.
You almost fall into the water.
So it all happened. It all happened in 1 second. So I didn't have time to freak out. But if it had gone under my swimsuit, that would have been another story.
Right. And
That
it would have bumped into your little friend and said, "Well, hello, little brother. Hello."
you got two treasure snakes. Yeah.
Two minuscule snakes, indeed. Well,
So that was
wow, man,
awesome.
what a. I mean, it sounds amazing to me, just amazing. I love that part of the country so much. We traveled extensively through there, up on the Parkway and anywhere we could. We were living in Florida and so missed some cold weather for Christmas that I said, let's go. We jumped in the car, and at like 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, we drove all the way to the Parkway, the Blue Ridge Parkway, and rented a place I found on the way. And
Cool.
it went to the it wasn't but a shack, all wood, nice. And we went to the local church for Christmas. And when we got there, we stood in the back, and the minister made notice of us and smiled while he was doing his thing. And he was so nice to us when the thing was over, you know. And he invited us to stay, and you know, and we said no. We cut down a little tree, which I did on the way illegally, of course, and put it up, and we threw a bunch of popcorn on it. I don't know what the fuck. We kind of left in a hurry, but it was those.
Because the cops came to look for the tree.
And one of the reasons we went there, because when we were, we didn't have any kids yet, so we were newly married, so without the kids. So we went there and had a similar adventure where we rented an old place, but there were just the two of us, and it was, shall we say, very romantic. And so going back there was like, and it was some years later,
right?
You know, but still no kids at that point. So I don't know. It all blends together, my man.
Yep, I hear you. And we've done so many other things too. Once we got back, we built some model rockets and
set them off.
We set them off. They always go higher than you expect. If you haven't done a model rocket in a while, it's pretty cool. And we had two of them, and we quickly lost them both. they floated past where we could get to. So
from where did you fire? Your backyard?
No, from a nearby park. But it wasn't. We didn't choose the place very well.
Yeah.
But my father had bought a whole bunch of rocket engines. So you know how when you're drinking wine and eating cheese, and you finish your wine, but you took out more cheese, so you put more wine in, and then you finish the cheese, but you still have wine, and you got to put that sort of cycle. So we ordered some more rockets to use the existing engines, and we haven't fired them yet. But
wow, it sounds like a wonderful time for your kids.
Oh yeah, and
and they're doing the work. They're doing the putting it together, help put it together.
Yeah, I tried to get them interested in that, and they weren't really. So really, my wife and I put them together.
Yeah.
And if you had never seen one go off, you don't really know how cool it is. So when it's just your dad saying, "Hey, let's glue some stuff together,"
you think it was a firecracker,
right? So
yeah,
that was cool. And let's see, we played a little golf. My kids loved. So we went out, all 6 of us. And it was just me and my mother playing, and the other 4 were like just driving the golf carts around.
Dad and the kids?
Yeah, dad and wife and the kids. And they were, they had kids with golf carts. That's so much fun when you're a kid. We only played 9 holes, and I think I got like a 52 or something, but that included a hole where I got an 11. So
no break from Ma.
I wasn't playing.
No max out at 3 over for Ma, huh?
Well, she wasn't even keeping score, actually. So
yeah, right. But it reminds me of a story of my daughter, who similar situation. I went golfing. She drove the golf cart. I played 9 holes, and I was very careful about when she could drive. And when we got to near the parking lot, she said, "Can I drive one more time?" And I said, "Yeah, be careful." And we went into this fairly large parking lot, and she was laughing because it was so much fun. And she tried to go in a circle in the parking lot, which she did pretty well. And I remember her throwing her head back and laughing because we were going in a circle, and she lost control of the vehicle. It went into a car, broke the bumper, broke the golf cart bumper, and the golf cart and the car were stuck together with the fucking front wheel. The front wheel of the golf cart, like off the ground and spinning because she just...
Damn.
Yeah. So my reaction, which is a little embarrassing, was I burst into tears because the damage to the car was so extensive. It was thousands and thousands of dollars, and the liability because it was my daughter with the golf place, and it was so confusing and abrupt that I just and I burst into tears. And my daughter
must have scared the crap out of her.
Huh?
Yeah, that must have scared the crap out of her.
Oh, it did. It did. I mean, it was a shock.
Have the scary moment and then have your dad break down.
Oh yeah,
that's got to be.
That was like, well, that didn't exactly calm her nerves.
So what was the result? Did you?
I ended up exchanging insurance information, and I'm pretty sure I said I did it, and insurance took care of it. And I said, I think I said I hit a stone, or I did, sorry, but it was extensive. I mean, it was $2,500, $3,000 worth of damage, probably.
Damn.
And I don't think the golf cart was cracked, but it was scuffed. I mean, but anyway, so you the six of you went golfing, and you and your mother played, so that's fun. Didn't she beat you? But she wasn't keeping score.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I had a vacation.
Tell me about your vacation.
There were 23 family members renting 7 cabins on a trail called the Macintosh Trail in Allegheny State Park, New York, near the Pennsylvania line. Obviously the Appalachian foothills. And wow, a good time was had by all. I mean, we had a big buffet dinner every night at our campground, which became center stage for dinner. I had the equipment, the tables,
right.
Bring a truckload of shit, and some people come in a car. So anyway, we love that. One night I didn't do it, but the food was so enormous and enormously wonderful. My sister-in-law is a chef, and she put out freaking ribs, dry rubbed ribs that were as good as I've ever had in my life.
Dry rubbed ribs.
And my brother cooked his famous, and you know this one, his shrimp Creole.
Yeah, baby.
That was served in the same night with 3 potato dishes, 3 salad dishes. So we gather around in a huge circle and eat and laugh. And I always had a little fire pre-built and had a ceremonial fire lighter ready to try to light all 4 spots in the fire with 1 match. Seldom done. I can do it, of course, but it's not about me. And then it gets dark, and I clean up and get a little help, maybe sometimes, maybe not. And then by that time, I've had a couple of brewskis in me, happy man, ready to go, sit down, and we just sit around the campfire and laugh and talk. And I played very, very little music. And when I did, nobody paid attention, so I stopped. Although I did play live here last week. And, it was... Well, I suppose you could go up there with them now. It's like, well, all right.
Jeez, what an invitation.
Yeah, you got 2 horn players, 2 saxophone players, and 2 guitar players. And so that sax is it was so crazy good, but a harmonica can't. You got to really be ready to fit into saxophones with a harp because the sax is so powerful and a harp isn't.
Did you call a saxophone a horn?
Huh?
Did you refer to the saxophone as a horn?
Yeah.
Okay.
Horn section. Okay. What I should have said, because whether it's 2 saxes or a sax and a trumpet or whatever, I played with as much as 3 brass. And if the guy who's leading the song will slow it down, and soften it down and be ready to introduce the harp, but he didn't do that. He just said my name. I kept up. It was fun. I did two tunes, and then they did another horn tune. So I booked, but it was fun.
Nice. We another thing that's become an annual tradition now, although this is the first time my kids have been back in the States in 3 years since 2019.
Really?
Because of COVID.
Same for us for camping is
right.
Of course.
So
not unusual.
We last time we had a family talent show.
Oh yeah.
Where everyone registers talent, and then we all sit down and we perform our talents for each other. And this year
everybody does it.
Yeah. So my 13-year-old daughter took charge and went around with a clipboard and asked us what our talent was, and managed. There was this.
And she wants to be an actress, so she is an actress.
Yeah. The entrance fee was $1 per act, and there were 7 acts. And then she got my father to sponsor another $3 for a grand total of $10 for the winner, in exchange for getting his name at the bottom of the program as a sponsor. And she she got it all together, and it was a lot of fun. The very first act was everyone. We got together and performed Long Black Veil, and there was like nobody in the audience because we were all on stage.
Right.
But and it was great.
What was your mother playing and singing?
She said she participated in that, and then her
singer
singing, and then she did a solo talent performance of reciting a Thanksgiving poem that she wrote when she was 10 years old and performed in front of her school at age 10, and she has it memorized since forever. But she recited that while doing the hula hoop. Just to add a little extra talent.
She had to win. She had to have won.
She did very, very well. No, she did not.
And that's quite creative. That's funny.
I performed a song with my daughter, a cover of a Taylor Swift song that we like, and the grand finale was a skit. Last time it was too, of my parents and my daughter. They wrote a little skit. And this time it was set in a doctor's office. My father was the patient, my mother was the doctor, and my daughter was the nurse. And the patient sort of grumbles on into the office and sits down, and the nurse asks him some questions and stuff. And they'd Googled like doctor jokes, and so they had a bunch of. But it was very humorous. My daughter told my father, "Oh, you're very sick," and he said, "Well, can I get a second opinion?" And she said, "Yeah, I'll give you a second opinion. You're ugly too."
That's quite good. That had to bring down the house.
It really was. And they had other ones like, "Doctor, there's someone on the phone that says he's going to die in 59 seconds." And the doctor says, "Tell him I'll be there in a minute." And another one, the guy calls in and says, she runs in and says, "There's a guy on the phone who says he's invisible." The doctor says, "Well, tell him I can't see him right now." And one of my favorites was the doctor said, "Well, I've got bad news and very bad news." And the patient says, "Well, I guess I'll take the bad news first." And she said, "Well, the lab results came back, and you have 24 hours to live." And the patient says, "Oh gosh, that's terrible news. You mean there's worse news? What's the very bad news?" The doctor says, "Well, the very bad news is we've been trying to reach you since yesterday."
I knew that was coming.
Yeah.
23 hours ago. We found out 23 hours ago. So because it was so funny, did they win?
No, actually. Well, I don't know, because we all voted. We ranked. We voted for acts that we weren't in.
What did you do?
Just the thing with my daughter. I didn't have
no individual act?
No. So we all voted, and then the kids went to add up and like do some averages and stuff. And I think the math sort of went haywire. So who knows who actually won? But
who walked away with the $10?
Who walked away with $10 was my wife. A surprise. Well, so I didn't know if she was going to participate or what she was going to do. So it was totally new to me, like, because I hadn't been paying attention to the signups or anything. And she did she taught us how to draw. If she passed out pieces of paper and pens, and she had a whiteboard, and she taught us how to draw a wheelbarrow and an elephant. But she turned into a person when she got on stage that I don't recognize. She added this extra bit of sort of like an insult comic routine to it. So she would like come over and look at our drawings and be like, "Call that a wheelbarrow?" And just being really cruel to the audience. But it was hilarious. Yeah. She said, "What are you going to carry in that thing?" Anyway, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. So she walked away with the dough because
she walked away with it
anyway. Or it was given to her by your father, who was carrying it?
No. It was my daughter was in charge, and we voted, and somehow we voted, 1 to 10, right? And then we averaged, and somehow she, who had like 110 and 8 to 7 and 2 9s, her 5 votes summed up to 51 somehow, and then when divided by 5 came out to 10. So. There was some fraud involved.
Just that way. TMI. Good Lord. I'm going to come through the mic and shake you to get you to stop giving me the math. It's at least as good as me describing drying paint a couple months ago.
Yeah. So
I mean, you stayed alert through that.
We'll post the equations in the show notes, maybe.
You ought to. Well, it sounds like a very planful time that you had. I would tell you our pastime at the camp was bocce ball, jungle bocce. No boundaries on a very hilly one
Cool.
cabin, then up a steep grassy slope, and then another cabin, then another slope. And my brother had a fairly
Beer delivery.
5 o'clock. Thank you, man. Ding dong ding.
You need
Beer break. You know what I have today? My favorite, the Schmiddix.
I can see it.
There's Toy.
I also have a Schmiddix.
No.
Indeed. We can.
We'll do a virtual. Let's see. Bang.
Yeah. It is one of. You're absolutely right. It's one of the better beers, and in America, the beer section of the grocery store is just out of control. There's 1,000 different beers there, and they're all ones that you don't know the names. Like, also
cool.
when you go to,
they're cool. Also, you go by how cool the label is.
Right, exactly. And when you go to a bar, you also don't know what any of the damn things are because they change names every 5 seconds. And
but you can taste them at the bar, right?
Yeah, you can taste them at the bar. But again, like you go and it's like, well, let me try, one of these. Let me try a taste. Let me taste these 7.
Yeah, my sister-in-law was at a brewery that had 6 different beers, and she ended up doing that. Where we tried it, I don't think so. We tried it, and we went all the way through. And when she was done, she said, "I don't think I'm going to drink beer." And I said, "It is. It's all there is here."
Can I just get a glass of water?
It's a brewery, and I don't know if I think she wanted let me try that one again or whatever. But I kept looking at the waitress, and at one point I said, "I'm going to tip you real big."
Nice.
And I don't know that she ever settled on it, but it was a bummer because it was my wife's and I's our favorite local bar.
Mm-hmm.
Just a walk from our house at the time, just 4 blocks. It's a wonderful place. One of those corner buildings that's got 3 sides, right? Triangle building.
Yep.
And at the point of it, and the inside was the stage, and
where you got
very high ceilings and stone walls, and very, very unique. Great little brewery. The brewmaster became a friend, and we became friends with his dog, and
brewmaster's dog.
He actually named it after the bar was named after his dog. And
Suds. What was his dog's name?
I've drawn a blank on it, but it was a Great Dane, and the T-shirt and the sweatshirts had a profile image of a Great Dane and the name of the place,
nice.
Which was the dog's name. And then that dog died, and then he had a puppy, and it was fun.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, at the vacation spot, we played lots of jungle bocce, and as we always do, we went to Thunder Rocks, which is this enormous, unbelievable piling of rocks that go 4 stories high with trees growing through them and on them, and some hard to climb and some not. And it's at 350 million years ago, the plate shifted and these rocks cropped up out of the ground, and there they still are. And we played bocce there amongst the tree roots and the rocks, and
cool.
It's just, and it's so hard.
Right.
It's so hard.
It's got to, at some point with all the roots, it turns into just a game of luck.
Well, absolutely true, but not without
not
skill.
fun, right? Sure.
Oh, it was a lot of fun. We played rounds of 9s, but then they had a game where it's a ladder game, and you got 2 balls in your hand tied together with a string, and there's a ladder 30 feet away with 4 rungs on it, different colors, and you throw your set of 2 balls, color red or blue, and depending on where you wrap around, you get so many points, and you can knock people off, and it's that. So
is it hard to wrap around?
Not particularly. Once you throw it underhand, get it spinning, and there's, you get good at it like anything.
Sure.
And then there was the poorly named cornhole
game. That didn't exist when I left the States.
Yeah, it's gone crazy. Every place has got them.
It's everywhere.
And then a game I'd never seen, where you have a stake in the ground that's about 5 foot high, and on top of the stake is balancing a metal beer can, a bottle shaped like a bottle, metal beer bottle, balancing.
Okay. Yep.
And you're 30 feet away.
You get your pistol.
And you have a Frisbee. And your job is to knock that can off, and your team's job is to catch it before it hits the ground. And so, and you score that way. So there was that. So I also had a game called quoits, which we never set up, which is similar to horseshoes with round rings, a little bit smaller than what a horseshoe would be if it were round. And instead of a big stake sticking out of the ground, this is a stake that sticks out of the ground 3 inches. 3 inches. And the stake, which is flat on one side, the round quoits, round circle that you throw, flat on one side, rounded on the other side, and you can go it high and make it stick in. You could make it bounce, and if you, it's just like horseshoes from that point forward, pretty much. We didn't set that up, but at my brother's cabin, which was the highest cabin in the setup, just beyond him were the brand new restrooms with on-demand hot water, big, beautiful new showers, and a place to wash your camp dishes. He had a relatively flat area, which, as it turns out, it sloped away from the cabin. And before it sloped up high to walk up another level to the new bathrooms, there was a place where the water, when it really got wet, flowed from the roof of the cabin down the little hill, and it also flowed down from the big hill. So it was like a crevice, a very mild crevice. Not crevice is not the right word. It was what's the opposite of a swale? A swale is a mound. This is a
indentation.
Yeah, indentation's plenty good. But it also circled around the cabin and went down to the road, essentially. So I set up a croquet match in that whole curve.
Cool.
Like a jungle croquet, but used all the stuff you're supposed to use. And because it was so crazy, on the right side, up on the, because you had to play on two hillsides, essentially. And my nephew would play in the first game, test game, to, see how it worked and stuff. He went up near a bench that was up on there was a fire pit right in the middle of it. So you had to work your way around this fire pit. Mm-hmm. Many people went in it, and it was poof of dust, ash and whatnot. But
it wasn't lit.
What's that? No. He knocked over the bench when he tried to take a shot, and when he went to pick it up, I said, "No, just leave it there." And as it turns out, it turned into, after I moved it a little bit, it turned into a perfect ricochet shot from the first middle ring, and to avoid the fire pit, you hit it. And my brother Timmy, when he played, the first two times he played, he ricocheted that off, and it went through the hoop both times.
It's called a wicket.
The wicket, yes. And there was like 8 feet to the bench and then 8 feet to the thing.
Wow.
To the wicket. Cool. It was crazy. So we had a lot of fun, and ended up 6 of us playing. I think we had the most fun doing that because more people. Bocce, we had 4 people. Bocce's a lot slower.
Yeah, true. So I finished my Smittix, and I'm going to try some rye.
Oh, rye. Do you think that's a good idea?
Rye not.
Rye not is what I always say. You know my rye story, right?
Rhinoceros.
From my father-in-law, where he showed me Valentine's rye whiskey. And he said, I got this in my aunt's house, and it turned 12 years old 25 years ago. It was in the bottle. And he showed us, it was in this little house, and Brad and I were drinking beers, my brother-in-law. And I said, "Hey, I'm getting tired of this beer. You want to try some of that rye?" He said, "Hell yes." So we got that rye bottle out, and it was, you opened the cap off, and smoke came out of the bottle. I mean, it was like a vapor. Smelled it and drank it neat. And damned if we didn't drink the whole fucking bottle. And it was a small, what a quart. It was a small bottle. Not a pint either, bigger than a pint. Maybe it was whatever. So the next day, we made my father-in-law was recovering alcoholic. He had dropped a drink in 14 years. I mean, he wasn't going to drink it. We never even thought twice of it because he showed it to us.
Right.
Well, he saw that empty bottle in the morning, and he was pissed. Did you drink all my fucking rye? My 32-year-old? And we're like, do you see any in the bottle? I mean, is this just dawning on you? And Brad said, "What? You're not going to drink it?" And Brad and I ganged up on a course and laughed. And I don't know if I said something smart. "Oh, I know. Let me tell you what you do with this. This bottle is special. Rinse it out and put it in your room as a memento." Oh, he was mad. We had so much when we stayed at their little house, which was two rows up from Chautauqua Lake, we've talked about it. We had a lot of fun in that house because when we all stayed there, the entire living room was just mattresses because the house was small.
Right.
There was nothing but sleeping space in one bathroom.
Oof.
And oh yeah.
That's got to smell good in the morning.
Yeah. Well, Brad, bless his heart, we were talking about this at camp. He passed several years ago, but he made there for 30 minutes. He would go in, he had his kit, his towel around his neck, a towel around his waist, whistling, go in, and he'd get it steamy, and he would shave and wash his hair, clip his toenails, and shave, and and get all dressed, and and we're going to go play golf. And I'm like, I crawl out of bed. Before I go grab my coffee, I put on my clothes. And then I sit there drinking coffee, and I don't even splash water on my face. I'm ready to go. Let's go. I got my coffee. Let's go.
Yeah, man.
And I told you the story about I had to dump. I couldn't get in the bed. I had to dump, so I used a 5-gallon pail in a huge plastic bag. And, what could I do? I was down in the basement, so I tied the bag up, double bagged it, and put it on the back porch. I was going to grab it on the way to golf and throw it in the trash on the way, but Brad and I, then he got out of the shower, and damn if I didn't forget that bag of shit sitting at the back of the porch. And damn if Dan didn't get up, probably the day after. He was pissed off at us about the rye.
Yeah.
So this is day 2, and he goes out and he sees this plastic shopping bag tied at the top, new bag.
Right.
And, what's this? And goes home.
Oh, God.
And we get back, and he said, "Who left a bag of shit there? My guess is it was you." And he points to me.
Nice.
Oh, did we laugh? Oh, God. We've been telling that story for 35 years,
You got to do what you got to do.
Well, it's true. I mean, the thing about the story that makes it funnier to me anyway is that I didn't intend to leave it there.
Right.
I didn't do it as a practical joke. I realized, in fact, not to coin the phrase, but on the way to the golf course, they said, "Oh, shit." I said, "What?" And I said, "Exactly." I said, "Oh, well." And then we laughed. Well, I said, "Oh, God, this is going to be interesting." It was in the hot sun until 9 o'clock. I mean, he opened that bag. He probably about fell over backwards. Oh, he still talks about that. He's doing pretty well, 92. I went to see him before we left on vacation. We offered to take him with us, but it would be too much. So fun. So I'm glad to be home, though. I miss my gardens and my flowers and my bushes that I'm growing. And, I built it is, of course, you should sound the buzzer when you edit this, that we do have a worthwhile project description today.
I hope there's a tool of the day.
There is a tool of the day, and I know what it is. And I should tell you the tool of the day, and then I should tell you why. Don't you agree?
Yeah. Do you want to tell me and then let me think about it for a little bit, and then we'll
tell me why,
and then tell you why.
Tell me why it's the stone of the day.
I can tell you rye. But...
That's a good idea. You drink 2 shots. Hey, every time you get it wrong,
oh no,
you gotta drink. Yeah, yes. And every time you get it right, I gotta drink a beer.
All right.
Okay. All right. Go.
You got to tell me what the tool is first.
It is.
I ain't that dumb, boy.
The lowly Peastone.
Peastone being little rocks about pea-sized?
Aptly named, wouldn't you say?
Or is that the stone that you pee on next to the bag that you shit in?
Yeah, I have a bag tied around my waist that has Peastone in it, and then I piss in there. The Peastone cleanses it, and then I bottle it up and sell it in the open market.
If you're drunk enough, any stone can be a Peastone, right?
Uh-huh.
That's so
Peastone.
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 So while I think about that, let me tell you a quick.
What, you can do 2 things at once now?
Quick anecdote. No, I can't.
That's not true. Who do you think you are, Dolores in Westworld?
We another favorite activity that we always try and do, and it never disappoints and didn't this time, is getting our friend John to take us out on the lake.
John White.
Pontoon boat. Yes.
Oh, no kidding. God.
And
Lake
so,
James, right?
Yeah, baby. And so we on the way there we stopped by KFC and got a bucket of 10 pieces of chicken.
Oh,
and
is that enough for 2 of you?
Right. And so we went out there, and he was there and ready and everything, and he drove us out to this little cove that he likes to go to, and we hopped in the water. We spent 4 hours in the water, I think, swimming around. The water was almost too hot. That's how warm it was, and it was just a lovely sunny day. Anyway, we'd been eating some chicken and stuff, and just because he doesn't have a table on his boat, so the chicken bucket was on the floor, and we were climbing around and stuff. And at least, and one time I saw someone about to step in the chicken bucket, and I said, "Get your foot out the chicken bucket, boy." And then it happened again and again and again, to the point where it became the slogan for our
we could work that into a tune pretty easily.
Get your foot out the chicken bucket.
Get your foot out the chicken bucket. Step on chicken. I say fuck it. I still gonna eat that anyway.
Yeah.
If your shoe prints on it, I don't care. I'll eat that chicken every hair that it found on it. I don't care. That's a great fun time. Did you look at what is the famous mountaintop you look at? Flat Top Mountain or
Short Off?
Short Off, where the film Daniel Day-Lewis.
Yep, there was a film.
The Last Mohican.
Last of the Mohicans, yes.
No, The Last Mohican.
No, they're the Last of the Mohicans. Sorry.
Are you sure? Hey, Wizard of Oz
100%.
played the other night. Did you watch it?
Wizard of Oz?
Yeah,
No.
comes on every year this time of the year.
No.
The Wizard of Oz.
I did not. I've seen it.
I know a lot about the Wizard of Oz.
I bet you do.
Yeah, you know I do, bitch.
Hey, just because I'm wearing these ruby slippers doesn't mean you can call me that.
Groovy slippers.
Groovy
I
slippers.
bet they're groovy. I always love those slippers. The double click of the heel.
And it's just a metaphor for, the search for happiness is, it's really inside you, man.
Yeah, baby.
Like a Peastone.
Yeah, baby. Well, I've got to say, the weather here is perfect. 75 degrees, a little breeze, warms up to 84 in the sun. And everything is just growing so great. I had a deer get over the top of the damn fence because one of the critter ritters' battery died on it and ate about a freaking foot and a half of sweet potato vine, a foot and a half off 6 vines. And all they were all the leaves were gone. It was just all the long stem and the little stems. And in 2 days, it's grown back. But it's good to be here. And so what I accomplished yesterday, I went to a statewide conference on prisoner reentry that, among other things, celebrated 20 years to the day that I and others started the reentry program in Michigan that you know about from our other podcast. And I met some old friends I hadn't seen in 20 years. But the thing is that when we did it, right, the people who were in the room who were hearing about it, some for the first time, were in grade school.
Right.
And so there was a bit of a history thing going on there. And, I was the grand old man. It felt good to be recognized as having established enough of a record. And the guy from the Department of Corrections was there. He was so nervous, he was shaking like a leaf. And he was there all day. And it was all very critical. But anyway, I did that. But then today, instead of doing my computer work and stuff, I said, I'm taking the complete day off. And I've been working outside all day. And my big project was something that the tool of the day, which is, I use the word tool very broadly, is, in fact, the lowly Peastone. And I'm going to tell you this.
Why so lowly?
That's for you to think about. I don't want to give any clues, but I will tell you this. And then I'm done telling you anything. I used almost a ton of it.
Wow.
A ton, which I shoveled in and shoveled out as the tool of the day showed itself to me, as if envisioned. As if
you shoveled it in and then shoveled it out?
Into the truck and out of the truck for the project.
And then to the final resting place of the Peastones?
That's not necessarily true.
Okay. So.
In fact, it's not true. That's my third and final hint. It's not true. I didn't move it twice. I don't do that.
Well, I mean, it came out of the truck.
That's once.
Okay.
And then I didn't move it to its final resting place.
Right. I think you were lining the path of something, using it sort of like gravel to walk on.
And I would use a ton of it.
Could be a long path.
That's very true. That's very true. That's very true. That's not bad. That's not bad. It could be used for that. But that's.
I have a question. Are they after the project?
So you got to drink a shot of rye. Did you?
I just took a shot. Yeah. Are they?
I want to see it measured next time.
Okay. Are they currently immobile? Are they fixed where they are now?
Define fixed.
Cemented in somewhere where you can't just pick one up.
No.
Okay. I think they're lining trees, sort of like mulch might.
Nope.
Oh,
not a bad idea though. Drink.
So let's see if I get more creative. Are they on the ground? I would assume.
No, they're in the air. It's a miracle.
Okay. So
I figured out a way for them to stay in the tree as a way to keep the birds away, because they're so freaked out seeing Peastones in a tree that they fly away.
Right.
But drink, because that
hovering
was a guess.
Hovering Peastones.
Drink, because it was a guess.
Okay. So I think they're not on a wall, on the ground. A ton of them.
And I've got to tell you that it is nearly astounding to me that you don't know what these are used for. I figured that
I don't even know the word Peastone.
You would know this within a matter of seconds, because of episode number 98. That's another big, broad hint. And I don't know if it's 98. You know,
you wouldn't.
I'm guessing when.
Are they to make a surface that you walk on more rough? Like you've got your cement, and then you've sort of made it sort of bumpy with the Peastones.
That's like a path. Wasn't that your first guess? There's a penalty.
That doesn't count then. That was my first guess.
It was, what do you mean? No, you broke a rule. You get fined. It's like a one-stroke penalty. You take another drink, punk. You agreed to the rules.
Okay. Are they on a wall? Vertically? Somehow, I don't know.
Yeah. I mixed it with concrete and then I threw them against the wall.
Yeah.
What?
That looked cool.
You already guessed the wall. You already guessed the wall. You already said, are they on? Are they not on?
Are they weighing down? Are they weighing down sacks in some way? I don't know.
No, drink again. And I'm getting thirsty. You haven't guessed one damn thing right. I don't know.
You know what you are?
You're slurring your words.
You're a Peastone Cowboy.
I'm a Peastone Cowboy. I saw Glenn Campbell on a video perform with who? Who was it? Oh, Leon Russell on the piano and Glenn Campbell. It was like, what the fuck is this? It was crazy. You got to see this. You got to see it.
All right, I'll look it up if I can find it in YouTube or something. It'll be in the show notes.
So I needed the Peastone because I was building a drain.
So it's for filtering debris out of water.
No, you're still
fuck.
You're very creative, but not particularly bright, if that's possible.
What do you do? How do you use Peastone to build a drain, Dennis?
Well, hey, you don't have to use my name, my formal name, just because you
Peastone Cowboy.
Not stop for 20 minutes. This is maybe the best episode since the first episode. Me being able to watch you and all the listeners understanding you're gulping, and after your gulp, you went, it was audible. So picture a space between two driveways that are next to each other, and it's a strip.
Yep.
And in there is old concrete that's cracked, and there's some grass. Used to be grass, and now it's weedy. And the neighbor's driveway is higher elevation than mine. So when the water pours down the driveway off their house, some of it that goes beyond the drain I built for them, a 3-foot deep drain for them on their property, because the water was coming out of my property. There's still a lot of water that comes down the driveway. So that strip between the two driveways in this one part that I worked on happens to be a triangle. And with the point heading toward the road and the long end of it in front of my shed. So my son dug that out about 10 inches deep, all that old gravel and rock, and so you could clearly see the concrete on both sides. And I laid cloth, permeated cloth. It was a weed barrier, even though I was deeper than what a weed would be. I'd use it anyway. After I tamped down the soil because it was now level, I raked it, leveled it, tamped it, put the cloth.
You need a weed barrier.
Pardon?
You need a weed barrier. Continue.
You're funny tonight. You are funny. So I threw a few Peastones on there to
a few
hold the cloth down. And then, in fact, I filled the entire bottom of this so you couldn't see the cloth anymore. It was about 1 inch deep of Peastone. And then, on top of the Peastone, I took this long tube that was probably 35 foot long.
Is that the Peastone pipeline?
Looked exactly like it. I don't know what you know about outdoor stuff. Did you ever see the black tubes with the holes in them that you use as a drain, the drain pipe?
I think so, yeah.
Well, they're smaller. This is much smaller than that. It's only 3 inches around, or 3 inches through, 3-inch high.
Yeah.
It looked like a vacuum hose. In fact, I think it was from a company that vacuumed from a truck in the yard, right, where they ran the hose in and go and do your gutter, your vents and your stuff, or professional cleaning people sometimes depending what they're cleaning. Yeah, it's a huge hose. So I had one of those. Came with the house. It was in the garage when the garage was just a junk shed. And it's 35 feet long, big coils of it. So I said, son of a bitch, I knew I would use this stuff. I knew it. So I lined that triangle all the way around with that vacuum hose, 3-inch deep, on top of 1 inch of gravel.
Right.
And secured it with more gravel in between. So the tube went all along the concrete, and at the top of it, at the very top of it, the V, it didn't crimp because it's rounded and it's accordion-like.
Sure.
And that then...
You got a little slit for the water to get in?
I punched it full of holes, And then I filled the space with about a half a ton of Peastone. So the Peastone, which I tamped down.
You can no longer see the tubes?
Not at all. The tubes, in fact, had exactly 2 inches of Peastone on it. And now when the water runs off their driveway, it runs down the concrete, lands on the tube, which takes some of it. And at the very end, since it slopes down toward my garage, I stopped cutting holes in it. And instead, I took both tubes and I put them into a little culvert that I dug, now right in front of my garage.
Right.
And I took a sledgehammer and I banged out 2 feet of concrete, about 12 inches wide, 2 feet, with a big sledgehammer and a crowbar and a hammer.
12 inches is 1 foot, if my math is correct.
It was more like 8 inches wide. I only needed 3 because I used that broken concrete to lay the hose, which wasn't perforated, so that the stuff that went in the hose went somewhere. And then I dug a pit, a hole, that was about from where I stood at ground level on concrete, because I broke out and then I had a concrete slab, was probably 3 feet down. And I hit sand, went through the heart and hit sand. Well, where that hole is connected to where I already had built a drain. So its drain has its own drain hole, plus if it's excess, it goes in. Then I covered it all with Peastone. And I started that, my son started digging that at 11 o'clock. He finished at 1. And everything I just described to you, tamping it, cutting the cloth, getting the stone, which I had to go back twice to the aggregate place to get it loaded up. I had to shovel it in myself because I didn't get enough the first time, which always fucking happens.
Yeah.
Always.
You never have enough Peastone.
And here's the thing too. That's important, and that's pretty sharp of you. But here's the thing you need to know: you can't get enough Peastone. You can't have too much. There are 100 uses for the lowly Peastone.
As we've been over, so you can like walk on it, right?
Absolutely.
Does that not make it a path?
No, it's actually not a path. It's off the path. It's off the path. In fact, you can walk on it, which was your question. It wasn't, are you supposed to walk on it, or is it a walkway? None of those are true. It is, in fact, a place where, right at the back end of it, in fact, is where I store my trash cans. So I found, of course, in a Lowe's dumpster, a 5-foot, looked like a piece of fence.
It's nice of you to
5 foot high with
come out
cedar
of the
laths.
dumpsters. It's nice of you to come out of the dumpsters every week to record
Every
this
week
podcast.
for the podcast.
Yeah.
And this was perfect. Cedar slats. So I put it on metal stakes, and it from the view from coming in the driveway, it blocks my trash cans completely. Behind that is the door where I built remember the corridor where I stored my ladders? That was episode 130, right? And then there's a nice door I built. I showed you the hinge, the door, remember?
Lovely hinge.
Put a sun above it, a tin painted sun. Yep. And so in front of that slath work, that little fence hiding the trash cans, are 3 plants I'm growing and a set of vines that are curling up the fence piece. This V now, a beautiful Peastone, rinsed and cleaned, in between 2 driveways, with comfortable space between where your car is parked and this area. Right. There's really no reason to step on it, but if you did, it'd be fine because it would give a little, because it is loose, as you would need it to be able to what?
Drain.
Water. Goes all the way through. A lot of it doesn't end up in the tube.
No, most of it probably doesn't.
A lot of it. No, I wouldn't say. Well, I would. It all depends on if a gully washer. Most of it won't. Most of it won't. But
did you resist the urge to get out the hose and like see if where the water goes? Or you're just going to wait for the next rain, and when it rains,
I'll hose it. I'll hose it tomorrow. But it's not.
Are you going to run out there and
I'm not
see if it
curious
works?
about it.
You're not curious.
It's perfectly engineered. It's not. There's nowhere for it to go, whether it's in the hose or not in the hose. It's all funneled and carries down into a pit.
Perfection eliminates curiosity.
What's that?
Perfection eliminates curiosity.
There you go, man.
Does it work? I know it works.
Words to live by.
I made it.
To you, bro.
Yeah, man.
You've been both. Oh no.
I'm out of rye.
You're drinking it neat, aren't you?
There's a hole in my rye glass. There was a couple of cubes in there, but yep.
So beautiful weather. The other thing my son did, the Peastone that comes in handy here, was he edged my front walkway, which has grass on the curbside patch of grass that I'm required to have, and he dug a trench at the sidewalk, so the rain from the sidewalk goes into the trench, and the grass doesn't get to the sidewalk. And when I mow, the wheel of the lawnmower goes in this trench. Yep. It keeps the grass down, and he did a perfect job, and it was so gratifying. I just like it when a job is done well, don't you?
I love it.
As my dad used to say, I love it when a plan comes together.
Yeah, man.
Well, here's to my dad. Coho down. Well, where's the bottle? What the hell? Toasted my father in an empty glass?
That's
What kind of a
disrespectful.
commie are you? Hey, did you hear what Tucker Carlson did? Do you know about this?
I don't. Sure, tell me. Maybe.
He went to Hungary and interviewed the president of Hungary, who is an autocrat and represents, according to Tucker Carlson and others who are analyzing this, the new type of government that Tucker Carlson wants,
Right.
that follows Trump's lead.
Yep.
And that his plan is to run for president.
Tucker's plan is to run for president of the U.S.?
Yes, of the United States of America.
Good for him.
And his platform will likely be, where democracy has had its day, we're moving into this type of democracy, which actually isn't democracy, it's an autocracy.
Right, exactly.
And it's just another wild day, you know? And Trump's, I don't know if you probably haven't heard the hearings and any of that bullshit.
No, it's been on TV here in this house all day.
Yeah, I missed a lot of it because I was gone on vacation, but it's stunning. It's stunning in its depravity.
We'll see if anything comes out of it, but yeah.
Well,
at least the information
is
indicted.
He'll be indicted.
Yeah.
He'll be indicted. You know, he's guilty. Liz Cheney will make sure it happens. They haven't had a Democrat testify yet in all the hearings. Did you know that?
Yeah. And I've heard that Liz is doing just a fantastic job. Like
it's the best I've ever seen from anyone in history.
Yeah. So
it's Sam Ervin from North Carolina was the senator who was that person in Watergate, and I don't think it's a competition at all with Liz. I mean, different times, different people, but he too was, in fact, and everyone knew it, making history and doing it in a way which was unparalleled. And she's doing the same damn thing. And I'll tell you what,
I wonder what her aspirations are.
She'll be president of the United States. She could be the first woman president.
Yeah.
She could be. There are 1 million people went from Democrat to Republican last quarter. 1 million.
Well, yeah, that's not too surprising. To get us off politics briefly, my wife went back home this past weekend, and when we left our house totally empty.
Because you had all the work done.
The final night before our flight, we all slept cramped over in a 1-bedroom apartment, and left.
Because your place had to be ready for the morning.
The house totally empty. And,
boy, you sure timed that close.
It was closely timed, and when we get back, it's not going to be done. So we're going to have to spend a whole week crammed into the little place. But work has been started. She's been showing me some photos and stuff, and they're like the electrician has put the little boxes in the walls where we want all of the light switches to be, et cetera, et cetera.
Can't have too many of those.
You can never have too many plugs or light switches.
Well, you can have too many light switches, but you can't have too many plugs.
Right.
You could, I suppose.
50 light switches. Let's see which one of these is.
I can't remember what two of them do.
No, we have two in our main living room, and I've been living there for 17, 18 years, and I still get it wrong. I don't turn on the right one.
So it's fascinating. This evening we're able to literally volley back and forth in similar stories because, as it turns out, this week that I got back from vacation, my guy is here, tore out the ceiling of the bathroom, tore out the back wall of the bathroom, took out the side small wall of the bathroom, and is rewiring it and putting in a industrial size exhaust fan to take the smell of our visitor shit out. where the people who added this used to be a closet in this town, and this is a piece of geographic history that's unique, I think. For whatever reason, nobody had their bathrooms on the first floor. Everybody's bathrooms in 2-bedroom houses are on their second floor. And this place was no different, but they took the biggest, almost a walk-in size closet right near the front door of the house, or the main back door of the house, and turned it into a bathroom. And when they put the fan in,
a water closet,
the lazy asses exhausted the fan into the floorboards of what is the floor of our linen closet. And so all your towels smell like shit. Is going into our fucking linen closet. So we went out the wall, and which was a back wall, and went on to the ceiling of the porch, and he vented it out there. And then he had this poor son of a bitch. He comes to my house, he's doing the work. He says, well, I'm able to be here because I subbed out a roofing job. I got a bid in a roofing job. Instead, I subbed it out to this guy's got a whole crew. And he said, I'm so glad I did that. It's just backbreaking work. So I'm here instead today, and I'm at this conference. He calls me, says, listen, I got news. It's bad news for you, but it's worse news for me. Is that for you, I can't be here tomorrow, and I don't think I can get there. I can't start plastering walls back together because the guy I subbed it to, when he ran out of shingles, he couldn't find the exact match, and instead, when he did the back of the house, it was a shade lighter than the front of the house. And even though there's no place you can stand and see both sides of the roof,
Yep.
unless you're in an airplane or a drone,
Right.
the people objected and said, we want our roof to be the same color, and half of it was finished. My guy had to go back, tear the old roof off, eat the cost of the shingles, carry the bundle of shingles that were there to finish the roof down a ladder like 6 times, a bundle on his shoulder, and bring up the new roof and set the shingles down, which is twice as many shingles. And I said, don't come back to my house. I'm sure you're beat. When I was doing second story work, I had a machine that I've told you about that I rented and hauled it in the back of my truck. And it was an electric elevator,
right?
A lift.
A little dumbwaiter to pull up the weight. Right.
And I told you the story where I got on it to see how, I was heavy, 200 pounds. And if I, hanging on to it, I'd just be able to get up all the way to the second story. So to avoid the need for a ladder, in some respect. Of course, you have to have a ladder when the thing was loaded. So I got all the way up to the top and was about a foot from my third story, way high. And fucking electricity went.
So you were stuck?
I was stuck on the roof. I had to get on the cell phone and get somebody to come and reset because I blew a fuse. I'm sure that.
How lucky that you had a communication device on you.
Oh my God. Stuck.
That would have sucked.
But Joel, and I'm kind of surprised he doesn't have one of these, frankly. I would never do a roofing job. But of course, he didn't think he was going to do the roofing job.
Right.
So he was.
I mean, why use shingles? Why not just put Peastone?
Well, I know. Put some tar up there and put the Peastone on top of it and tamp it down into the tar. There, Peastone and tar. There you are, Peastone and tar. The lowly Peastone. Tool of the day. Well, one might say, well, maybe the tamper was the tool of the day. Well, no, I didn't use it so much. Well, what about the shovel? That sure came in. Well, yeah, the shovel. But what was why? The Peastone is actually fun to work with. Compared to larger stone, that's very difficult to shovel and much heavier. Peastone is akin to large pebbles of sand. I mean, it's the next step up. You can get crushed Peastone, and that's even smaller pieces. But then there's what you call Peastone dust. Peastone dust got the best of me. I'm so bad off, can't you see? Like a vapor around my nose. Oh, that pea dust surely grows. I can't breathe it, can't you see? I need a mask, oh dear me. I'm gonna faint now, it's a shame. Playing pea dust is a game. You didn't expect that. I've been working on that for days. I wrote it, rewrote it.
It definitely shows.
You're pretty witty tonight for somebody who's drank a couple of glasses of shit and a Schmittix.
Well, it's not 11:30 at night like it normally is.
Well, that's true. That's true. I'm going to make myself an omelet, cheese omelet. I think
You're gonna have to break some eggs.
I break some eggs. You don't get anywhere. You don't get anywhere in an omelet unless you break some eggs. There's some shit to say about that. You've heard it. You've heard the saying.
I tried once.
Somebody says, well, these car payments are terrible, but I love my car. I say, well, you can't make an omelet unless you break a couple of eggs, right?
Uh-huh.
Right? Can you think of one? Can you think of one where that saying would work? If you can't, you drink. If you can, I drink. Go, new drinking game. Go. You don't even remember. What? You don't even remember what we're doing. You're completely lost.
Peastone. You can't make a drain without breaking some Peastone. Wait, no. I mean, you gotta like renovating your house, man. You can't make your pooper fan go out of your linen closet if you don't break some walls.
Whoa, that's a stretch. You lose. Drink.
So, outside of America, I've never seen ventilated bathrooms with electric fans.
Is that so?
Yeah, it's a thing here. Well, that's not true because we actually renovated ours and we do actually have a fan. So I'm wrong.
Well, this is a strong fan. We also put in a couple of electric plugs, and it's.
I mean, I think I'm your biggest fan. But
which in you're so little, it doesn't say much. But I'm glad. Oh, you poured yourself another drink.
Boy, do I blow though. Wait, no.
Oh, well, that would make us more than friends, probably. I appreciate the offer, but no thank you. So I'm contemplating my next big landscaping move. You know, the as you know, I described this, and I think you know what I mean. But in between, there's my front yard. I have a walkway that goes down to a sidewalk, which tees from my walkway, obviously, and then immediately between the sidewalk and the street is about a 6-foot width, all the front of my property of grass, right against the road, and you know the story from episode 86 that I elevated my front yard with rocks and stones so that it has a rock wall. And you know from another episode later that I soaked it with a type of a material that makes it shinier. So in the sun, the rocks are gorgeous. But here's the plan: that large, it's 40 feet long. There's a telephone pole on one side, 6 foot wide. I'm going to kill all the grass. Remember my tent garage fell apart and I replaced the top? Well, I saved that canvas. And it's two pieces are big enough to cover all this. I'm going to kill all the grass. Then I'm going to have my landscape guy, deliver and place a ring around on the inside of this long strip, a ring of stone. And that ring, the outside of each rock, is going to either be abutting my sidewalk or the curb. So there'll be no grass of any kind. Then I'm going to fill that. That's about 12 to 14 inches deep of rocks. Those are big. They are the 14, 16-inch rocks, right?
Yep.
Big ring of them. Then I'm going to fill that space with soil and create a giant bed, a garden bed. And in there, I'm going to transplant the trees that I've been growing for 2 years, which are now big enough to transplant. And then I'm going to grow these giant fucking sunflowers in there that are over 7 foot tall.
Yeah, baby.
And they're just enormous.
I've seen a big sunflower.
Because, you know, when you got a road in front of your house, anything you put out there is a noise barrier and also a dust barrier.
Noise barrier. I like it.
Oh, the pea dust coming round from the road, not the ground. I'm so lonesome I could cry, but I got pea dust in my eye.
I was hoping you were going there.
Where else could I go? Where else could I go? So what's the word on the annual outing, annual golf outing? We can do it in a warmer month, but you're the key guy because
I'm the linchpin. Yeah, I don't know. I will. I will bring it up.
May.
I'll bring it up in our next committee hearing.
If it's in May, and if the idea was, amongst all the people who live there, everybody's got a bed or 2 beds. Steve and AJ got an extra room, so everybody who comes has a place to sleep. But the center activity is your mom and dad's house, which has a great fucking kitchen,
True.
A great dining room area, and a great deck.
Yep.
For group meals. And guess who will come to be our chef? Yes, award-winning, rising star, JoJo.
Nice.
Yes, it's in the works.
So speaking of award-winning, I'm going to be golfing the next day we record. I will have golfed that morning with the chocolatier himself, Mr. Kyle, the guy who won for the chocolate sauce last year.
Oh, Kyle. Yeah.
He's coming over.
Did he win? Did he win? You know, I took that sauce to Danny's place on the beach.
Yes.
I had it.
So another quick anecdote. You remember Steve Harbison?
Oh, of course.
Danny's friend. He came over to talk to us this week and told us about
Andersonville.
No, he came here, but he's retired And
I didn't know he was a golf. He was the guy who ran the golf course in the dinner.
And he just won a lottery. He's going to go and watch the 150th Open at the Old Course.
Oh, that's what he won?
He won the entry into this. He has to pay all of his flights and stuff. But,
wow.
Yeah. He just applied.
Back for that. Tiger's back for that.
Yep.
Mickelson not going.
Yeah, that whole other Saudi thing is an interesting thought experiment.
Brian DeChambeau said it best. Look, it's a business decision for me and my family. I play less golf. I make more money. It's my future. I'm good.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
That's all anybody has to say. But Phil was just so what he said. And,
I didn't see any of that, but
no, you don't know that? Oh Lord. Well, it's a sordid story you probably don't want to go into. But
yeah,
the shit he said was, those motherfuckers are scary. He said, those motherfuckers are scary for what they did to Khashoggi.
Huh.
But somebody's got to teach the PGA. They've got too much leverage, and he's been in a riff with them for years of using his image for them to make money. When you lose $40 million gambling, I suppose it gets to be pretty important what you're doing. $million here, $1 million there.
It'll be interesting to see what the professional golf landscape looks like in like 5 or 10 years. Because
I think that there'll be a second league. It'll be like the World Football League. It's active. It's out there. Nobody watches it.
Right.
There's no way they're going to make any money off of it.
Yeah.
When you sign up Mickelson for $300, and fucking Dustin, what's his name? Dustin Leonard?
No.
No. Anyway, for $200 million, and the next guy for $150 million, it actually is about $1 billion.
Sure, but they have more money than
and so somebody. Well, it's not like they're ever going to get their investment, but that's not why they're doing it.
No.
They're doing it just to be successful and basically to say, fuck you, U.S. Fuck you.
Mm-hmm.
You ain't the only one you ain't got a monopoly on fucking golf in this world anymore. We'll pay more money. Their first event, the purse was $25 million. It was the biggest purse in the history of golf. Their first.
Yeah.
One. The winner, who was it? Chevalier. No, not Chevalier.
Mike Krzyzewski?
No. It's
okay. Well, you're harshing my mellow here. I don't want to talk about this.
Hushing your Miller. Wow.
Mellow.
Oh, you're hushing your Miller. I thought you said your Miller.
I'm not. Miller time already.
Oh Lord. Well, anyway, I don't mean to stress you out about all this. I know it's you're on a. So tell me, a vacation in a vacation. Say that in Spanish. I've been wondering about this.
Vacaciones dentro de vacaciones. Obviously.
May I suggest that is the subtitle of the episode?
It very well may be, unless it's something involving Peastone or something.
I don't. Well, work it in. Work it in.
Huh.
Work it in. You're very talented, and I must say, you made me laugh out loud. Your opening joke. Well, no, we don't want to give away any trade secrets.
Can't even remember
anything of that kind. But this has been engaging. It's been fun. What number are we on here?
156.
156.
Mm-hmm.
156.
It's a lot.
Westworld is one of the few series I have left because The Man Who Fell to Earth ended.
Hey, I started watching a thing called The Old Man.
Oh, with not Nick Nolte, but Jeff Bridges.
Jeff Bridges and God damn it,
the woman.
Lithgow.
Oh, John Lithgow. Yes.
I'm 3 episodes in, and it's getting really good.
Yeah, he's quite the actor.
Both of them are. Like you don't think of Jeff Bridges and think, oh, action movie star, and I'm sure there's a lot of stunt doubling going on, but it's good. Recommended.
Well, I put it on my list. Well, it's been fun, but I gotta go. I gotta get some food in my stomach.
So, just remember
why.
Remember, Dennis. Keep your foot out the chicken bucket. Don't you be stepping on that chicken.
Let me think about it. Well, I put my foot in the chicken bucket. Father turned to me and said, "Oh, fuck it. Hand me a leg. I don't care if your shoe prints on it." Well, I put my foot in a chicken bucket. My mother looked at me and said, "Oh, fuck it. Give me the wing with that thing that you stepped on to me." And the little girl said, "Oh, you put your foot in the bucket. Give me a piece, Dad." I said, "Fuck it. I want a breast and don't get smart with me. And the little boy looked at his daddy and said, I ain't gonna eat that shit that's dead. I'm a vegetarian and I don't care what you eat. Not bad, huh? Working on that for weeks.
Well done. I can tell.
You can tell.
All right, man.
Like that's a upbeat. There's a little upbeat.
Yeah. I'll see you next week.
All right, man. Love you. Take care. Bye.
Okay, that's it for episode number 156. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/156, where I have included actual photos of Dennis's Peastone project. So check those out. You can support the show at patreon.com/happyhour. If you give it the gin martinis level, you can watch a video of us making shenanigans. See you next week.